PFW, Washington.
Time's just about 6 p.m. here in the nation's capital. My name's Garland, Nixon. The name of the show is News Views on every Friday from 6 to 7 p.m. in Washington, D.C. If you want to listen online, if you want to listen live, if you got friends, let's say you're out of the listening area of our 50,000 watt FM station here in Washington, D.C., and you still want to listen, or you got friends somewhere that want to listen, all they got to do is go to WPFWFM.org. That's WPFWFM.org, and they can listen live. Also, they can go to WPFW.org, at WPFWFM.org. You click on archived shows, and then just drop down the name of the show is News Views, and you can listen to, you can download, you can listen live, you can listen to, or you can podcast any of the shows that I've done over the past several months. So we got plenty to talk about today. Big things going on. I was really undecided. Certainly, we've got the issue in Charlotte. Certainly, we've got some other issues going on with the campaign. So I thought, what the heck? I'll just start going and see where this thing goes. That's what I do sometimes. Just start going and see where this thing goes. So let's talk. Recently, over the last couple of days, something of note has happened. There's a guy here in Washington, D.C., a person that I have a lot of respect for, Professor Alan Lichtman. He is over at American University. He is a world-renowned presidential historian. And he has this book that he wrote originally in '84. He updates it every 4 years for the current presidential campaign, called The Keys to the White House. There's 13 keys to the White House. And they've got various things that he uses to judge who's going to win. Now, just so you'll know what happened, Professor Lichtman, I've actually had him on my show before. He worked with a Russian mathematician, this guy who, as I understand, he comes up with mathematical formulas to predict like earthquakes and things. This guy's like a mathematical genius, of course. And so they looked at a lot of various factors that affect the outcome of presidential campaigns. And they worked for years, and they put all these together, and they came up with 13. And basically, these 13 things, it'll be such as, has the incumbent party had any major foreign policy successes? Has the incumbent party had any major foreign policy failures? Then there's some questions about the economy. There's some questions about, do they have a charismatic candidate? All of these things come together. Here's the bottom line. Whoever gets 7 out of the 13, they predict to win. That's the way it works. It's called The Keys to the White House. You can look online and find it. Actually, it's a pretty good and interesting book. And what they did was they took this thing and they applied it all the way back to 1860. And it accurately predicted the winner every time. Now, I know what your question is. George Bush, Al Gore, 2000. What was the prediction? Well, the formula accurately predicted that Al Gore would win the popular vote, and Al Gore won the popular vote by like 5 million votes. And the rest that's a whole nother show. But so this thing has been very successful in basically picking who wins the popular vote. So Professor Lichtman has been beating around the bush, and he lets everybody get built up every year. Oh my gosh, who's going to win? What's going to happen? And then eventually he comes out. So in the last few days, he was on TV, and Alan Lichtman has made his prediction based on the keys to the White House. Professor Lichtman, who is a good, progressive-minded person. His wife is Karen Strickler, a friend of mine. She does a lot of work on climate change. Just a wonderful person. The two of them, I think the world of both of them. Wonderful, great people. And Professor Lichtman, I need a drum roll right now. Drum roll. Professor Lichtman has predicted that Donald Trump will win the White House based on the keys to the White House. Now, That being said, there are those who may have a lot of things to say about that. Now, let me start with Garland. I've been predicting this for a long. I'll put it like this: I didn't need a Russian mathematician to figure this one out. Right? It seemed kind of self-evident to me a long time ago. And basically, if you've been listening to my show, you know, for many months, I've been saying, I don't think that Hillary can beat Donald Trump. I didn't say that the Republicans could win. Going into the convention, my argument then, and you remember if you've listened to my show, you remember my argument then was the Democrats should nominate someone else other than Secretary Clinton because I don't believe she can win. I said that on the air. I said that on national TV. I've said it in many places. They shouldn't nominate her because I don't think she can win. If you've been paying attention to the polls recently and the stumbles of the Clinton campaign, now, you know, there are people that get angry at me. Well, Garland, don't say that. Well, you know, this is not like, one of those movies like The Candyman where if you say it 5 times, it's going to happen. You know, am I supposed to say that, you know, I think Hillary Clinton's going to win? In fact, my position going into the convention was, look, guys, you need some, a little bit of honesty here. You need a little bit of tough love. You need somebody to say, I know, granted, don't get me wrong, Wall Street's donated a lot of money to the Clinton campaign and the DNC. There are a lot of very wealthy and powerful people have pushed for this, but they ain't going to get what they're paying for because Hillary's probably going to lose this thing. And the other part was people say, well, it's Trump's so bad. And my position was, agreed. And if you want to beat Trump, why don't we nominate somebody that can beat him? Now, I am a Bernie person, and I wanted Bernie to be nominated. But look, I understand the rules. Neither Hillary nor Bernie got enough votes, electoral votes. Got enough delegates to win. That meant it was an open convention. That meant that according to the rules, they could nominate anybody they wanted. I was hoping it would be Bernie, but they could have nominated Biden. They could have nominated Elizabeth Warren. They could have done that. And I wouldn't say, no, that's unfair. Bernie got the most votes because I believe the rules are the rules. And I would have lived with the rules. Could I vote for Joe Biden? Yes. Could I vote for Elizabeth Warren? Yes. There's things about both of them I'm not thrilled about, but I could vote for them. I believe that either of them would smash Donald Trump. Bernie, in fact, the polls still say that Bernie would smash Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton is losing in Ohio. Hillary Clinton is losing in Florida. Hillary Clinton is losing in North Carolina. And she's not on an upswing. You know, a month or so ago, she was winning there. Now she's losing. When you're getting closer to the to Election Day and you're on a downward trend, that is not good. Let me tell you, the Democrats will not lose Ohio and Florida. Trump's winning in Nevada. He's only a couple points down in Colorado. I do not want to see a President Trump. Don't get me wrong. Let's face it, I'm a black person. How could I say, how could I have any care for Latinos and Muslims and other people of color and support Trump? Absolutely not. But my position was to the DNC is, if you, as you say, are as opposed to Trump as you argue, right? Then that means you're asking me, Garland, do everything you can to ensure that Donald Trump doesn't get elected. I say to the DNC, you're not doing everything you can to ensure that Donald Trump doesn't get elected. You're asking me, Donald Trump is so bad, Garland, you got to do everything you can to stop him. And I say to the DNC, okay, are you guys doing everything you can to stop him? No, because you know good and well that the poll said that Hillary was in a lot of trouble very, very early. She got the so-called post-convention bounce for it. But that Trump got one, she got one. Let's face it, they get 3, 4, 5 points for a couple weeks and it goes down. It was the middle of August. It meant nothing. Now, as we get closer, and here's the issue. Here's the real issue. Hillary's, notwithstanding all of Hillary's faults, let's be honest about this thing. Notwithstanding all the Hillary's faults I could go over before, we are in an anti-establishment election cycle. People are unhappy with the establishment, and Hillary Clinton is the ultimate establishment candidate. Why would you run the ultimate establishment candidate in an anti-establishment election cycle? Just from the perspective of strategic moves, how your strategic actions that you're going to take, your tactics, your strategy to win. That's a recipe for disaster. So all that being said, now, so they ran Hillary. If that wasn't bad enough, in which, let's face it, all of the rest of this stuff is moot, because when they ran Hillary, what is Hillary going to do afterwards? Even before that. So Hillary goes out. Talk about a disaster. She hires David Brock, the troll king. So he goes out and goes online and he insults and degrades, with his correct the record, he insults and degrades all of the Bernie supporters, the very people that she will need to win. See, another reason that I didn't think Hillary was going to win was this. How do you win an election? Number one, you got to turn out your base. And number two, you got to steal some of the independents. That's it. That's what Obama did. You not only turn out your base, you got to add some people that don't normally, that should be in your base. So what did Obama do? He reached out to a lot of the younger voters. He got them excited, right? So the younger voters hadn't been showing up the last two election cycles. They showed up, the Democrats win. If the younger voters show up, the Democrats are going to win. Okay, Obama won what? I think it was Virginia in 2012. It was North Carolina. It was Ohio by 1.5 percentage points. It was a blowout, but it was a blowout only because the Obama people eked out every little vote they could get to win. Right? So what appeared to be a blowout on the surface was a hard-working campaign that reached to as many people as they could and alienated none. Obama's campaign, they were smart people, they alienated none. The Hillary Clinton people started alienating people from day one. There's a special place in hell for women that don't vote for her. Then she brings in David Brock and correct the record, and now she's got to attack online. She's got a paid troll army attacking people who are just on Facebook or Twitter saying, I don't like Hillary. How about this? They say, I don't like Hillary, and you just let them vent. And you reach out to them with, now this is what screwed Hillary up. Let's say progressive policies. That's what the Clinton people weren't doing, because if you're not a progressive, you can't very well reach out to people with progressive policies. You can say I'm a progressive, and then you throw in a caveat. That gets things done. That doesn't mean anything. In fact, to progressives, that's kind of an insult that you just can't say I'm a progressive. You got to throw in that gets things done, which infers that progressives don't get things done. It infers a certain amount of contempt. It's kind of condescending towards progressives when you got to throw in, I'm a progressive who gets things done. It infers progressives don't get things done. So you're a special kind of progressive. Yeah, Hillary is a special kind of progressive. The kind that's not a progressive. That's a very special kind. And progressives aren't stupid. They understand that. They saw that. And at one point, and this is something I never forget, and I say this to the Hillary people online regularly. So I read all of these articles, and they say, Hillary's strategy, she's going to discredit Bernie. She's going to take Bernie out. She's going to do all this and worry about party unity later. Does anybody remember those articles? Worry about party unity later. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, after election day, that's probably when you're going to worry about party unity, because that's the only time you're going to get it. A guy as popular as that, whose supporters believed in him, who saw him as a person who was kind of, taking them out of the wilderness. Now, progressives have been, discredited and forgotten, since the Vietnam War. And now here's a guy that comes and says, I'm saying what you want to hear, and you're going to attack this guy. You're going to discredit him, and you're going to fool yourself into believing that you can have party unity later. Now, I did a video. A lot of people watched it, like 30,000 people or something online watched this video, where I said way back in May, and I'm going to open the phones up in a little bit. Way back in May, I said Hillary Clinton has no intention of uniting with progressives. I said back then, and you can go on my YouTube channel, Garland, Nixon, you just search my YouTube channel, and it's still on there, that Hillary's plan, and it is so clear, it is ever so clear, Hillary's plan was to jettison the progressives from the Democratic Party and to realign the party with the establishment Wall Street wing and the war cabinet neocon wing of the Republican Party. That she felt, okay, I can get enough Republicans and forget those progressives. They kind of aggravate me and I don't like their policies. Anyway, that it was never, ever, ever part of her plan to unite with the progressives. And is there evidence? Let me give you one piece of evidence. Debbie Wasserman Schultz was canned, right? Because she was caught. That's the only reason. She was caught with the DNC links. Within an hour, Hillary hired her. She basically spit in the face of progressives. Progressives said, this woman's got to go. She's crooked. And Hillary promoted her. She said, yeah, you're right. She's got to go. In fact, I'll make her my co-chairman for my campaign. That made it very clear at that point. If progressives don't understand that Hillary Clinton had no intention of, what does she have to do? Beat you in the head with a baseball bat? And so then after that, now she's with the neocons every time you turn around, Apparently what happened recently was George H.W. Bush, who I think he's got like Parkinson's. He's very sick. He's very elderly. And now they're claiming that he's going to support Hillary. I don't even know if he can talk anymore. I don't know what that's all about. But are you saying that the progressives? Are you saying the progressives, hey, good news, you thought Henry Kissinger was a jerk. Well, let me throw in George H.W. Bush, former CIA guy who started the first Gulf War. So in Hillary's inner circle now, she has Paul Wolfowitz, Robert Kagan, George H.W. Bush. So I think it's pretty clear to the anti-war people that, Hillary is not reaching out to you. Well, she is, but she has her middle finger extended. She's reaching over to the Republicans because she's as conservative as you can get to be a Democrat. Let's face it, the progressives again said, hey, look, how about a progressive, give us something. Give us a progressive vice president. And Hillary said, sure. And she went and got Tim Kaine. You can't get any further. Probably the only person further to the right than Tim Kaine in the Democratic Party is Hillary Clinton. So we got right and righter. And so now what are the results? Very predictable. Hillary is in the process of losing. You're not going to win. What Democrat can win without the left wing of their party showing up? You've got to give the left something. Give them something. Hillary gave them. Obama came. He made a lot of promises. There was a lot of things that he didn't do. There were some things that he did do. He did enough in 2008 to 2012 to make the Democrats say, we don't want Mitt Romney. They showed up. Hillary, she's giving the progressives, I would say she's giving them nothing. She is giving them something. She's giving them the finger. And that generally is not going to bring people to the polls. There was a discussion about, today I was on a TV show earlier, and there was a discussion about what's going on in Charlotte, and I can blend that into it. And they said, well, people are showing up from out of town. Do you think that that's politics, that the Democrats are bringing black people in there, blah, blah, blah? And what I said was this. The Black Lives Matter movement and the people that are involved in in activism to deal with police misconduct, police violence against young people of color, it reminds me of Occupy, because what's really going on is a lot of these people are apolitical in a way. A lot of the people in the Black Lives Matter movement and in Occupy, a lot of the young millennials are angry at the status quo. See, that's why they went for Bernie. They're angry at the status quo. They're angry at the parties. They're angry at the Democratic Party. They're angry at the Republican Party. They're saying, look, no, we don't like the Republicans, but hey, who gave us private prisons? Who gave us the crime bill, the welfare bill? Who gave us the telecom bill? Who gave us NAFTA? And they're on, and they're saying, we are angry at the Democratic Party and the Republican Party because the neoliberal policies have wrecked our lives. We don't seem to have any future. You guys weren't doing nothing. We're concerned about the economy and about the environment and our future, and we get the queen of fracking. They're probably, a lot of them aren't going to show up in November. But the Black Lives Matter movement, the Occupy movement are people who've had it up to here with people that are giving them platitudes, with people that are saying, hey, vote for me and I'll set you free. The old joke, vote for me, and I'll save you from that guy over there. And really, the only thing that person you're going to look out for is the person that's writing you a big check. So we're in a situation where the DNC became the ultimate establishment organization. They ran the ultimate establishment candidate, and as predictable, and now Garland. Let me tell you, I took some heat for saying I took some heat for saying I don't think Hillary will win. I had people say to me, "It's people like you that are going to make her lose," and I'm thinking, "What are you talking about?" You know, the old blame the Bernie fans. It's Bernie's people that'll make it lose. What? You're blaming the voters? Look, if I'm here in D.C., right? In the Nationals, they're a good team. The stadium's always packed. But look, if you put a terrible, terrible team, you put the bad news bears, a bunch of people that can't throw a strike, they couldn't hit a grapefruit with a snow shovel. I mean, a bunch of people that can't play baseball. You put them on a field and the fans don't show up. Are you going to say those darn fans? We're losing because the fans won't show up. I blame those fans. No, you're losing because you put a terrible team on the field and the fans don't show up because you have a terrible team on the field. So when you run Hillary Clinton, don't blame the voters who won't support her and who don't like her, who I already add, told you before the convention they didn't like her and they wouldn't support her. This is not new. So now there are people who they put a terribly flawed establishment candidate up, and now they want to blame the people who all along said, I'm not going to support a terribly flawed establishment candidate who I don't trust. This was created by the DNC. This is the problem. And now people like you and me have to look at it and say, we're left with Trump. We don't want Trump, but how are we to support Hillary? And even if I do go out, let's say I go out and vote for Hillary, it ain't going to save her. For the people who are blaming me, it ain't going to save her. I'm in Maryland. If she needs me to win Maryland, she's in deep trouble. But the reality is, Maryland ain't the problem. She's going to win Maryland by 20 points or whatever. See, you go to Ohio, and now you've got the Clinton people saying, we got to deal with Putin. If your job went over to China, if your job went to India, etc., you really don't care if Vladimir Putin is encroaching on the Ukraine or the Crimea, Crimea River. I don't have a job. So the Clinton people are still talking that Cold War stuff about the Russians, and they don't even understand how to communicate to the working class, what used to be the working class, now they're the working poor, thanks to neoliberal policies for the last 30 years. But the working people out here that are struggling, they don't even know how to communicate to them, and they're still talking that Cold War crap about Vladimir Putin that nobody wants to hear. So at any rate, I think that's a big deal to that Alan Lichtman with his book, The Keys to the White House, that is accurately predicted, as applied to presidential campaigns, it actually accurately predicted the winner all the way back to 1860, now predicts Donald Trump as the winner. And what's interesting about that, if you look at the factors, one of them is like, does the incumbent party have a charismatic candidate? No. If we trade Hillary out for a charismatic candidate, guess what happens? We go to 7 out of the 13 and we win. If you look at what the keys to the White House, where there's 13 factors and whichever party gets 7, you trade Hillary for a decent candidate, it moves us to 7 from losing to winning. It's exactly what the progressives and a lot of people said. We get a decent candidate, but let's be honest, who couldn't beat Trump? Who couldn't beat Trump other than Hillary? Bernie? Destroy him. Biden, game over, he wins by 20 points. Elizabeth Warren, and some of these people I'm not so thrilled with. Elizabeth Warren, I got a little hot at her when she supported Hillary and all that, but I'd take her over Trump any day of the week. Same with Biden. There's some neoliberalism there. I like Biden. I would show up for Biden all day long. Hillary, not so much. And mainly because here's my issue with Hillary. I'm going to stand in line to vote for Hillary, right? And I'm going to look next to me in line. This is metaphorically speaking. I'm looking next to me in line, and I see Paul Wolfowitz. I see, the CEO of the every Wall Street bank. I see Henry Kissinger, all waiting and thrilled to vote for Hillary. And I'm going to vote for her and say, boy, she's looking out for me. If those people are voting for her, she probably ain't looking out for me. I'm hard pressed to look at her inner circle of people who, let's face it, Henry Kissinger, people, genocide, Mr. Genocide, the people from Wall Street, economic genocide. And I'm going to say, well, I'm voting with these people because no, that's not what's working here. Garland Nixon ain't to blame. And now Alan Lichtman is not to blame. The DNC made their bed, and I suspect who knows? I could be wrong. I'm not saying I want Trump. I don't want a Trump. I'm just simply saying the Democratic Party has made their bed, and now it looks like Trump's going to kick them out of it. Might not happen, but we'll see. Let me give you the number, 202-588-0893, 202-588-0893. I'm going to take callers. Tell me what you think about that. Professor Alan Lichtman, the Keys to the White House is the name of his book. He redoes it every 4 years. He updates it for the current every 4 years for the current presidential campaign. And he came out recently and said, based on his formula, no, that didn't sound good. Based on his formula, Hillary loses, Trump wins. And we can also talk about what do we think will happen post November 8th or whatever day it is. What is going to happen? You can also talk about that. What happens if Trump wins, if Hillary wins? Now I got people saying, oh my gosh, if Trump wins, we're all going to die. Yeah, well, we're all going to die anyway sooner or later. I don't know what's going to happen if Trump wins. Look, it is what it is. If he's going to win, there are people who are very much afraid of things. Right? Oh my God, if Trump wins. I don't want Trump to win. Could be a problem, could be an issue. Very well. Not looking forward to that happening. But let me just say this. I'm not a person who fears death anyway. I'm not a person who goes around. If you want to be really suckered and dragged around by the ear for politicians, fear death. Because they'll say, look, you got to vote for me because otherwise the terrorists will kill you. You got to vote for me because Saddam Hussein will kill you. You got to support me because you're going to die of this. Zika virus is going to get you this, but everything's going to die. They're going to tell you all the ways you're going to die. And they're going to say, and you got to vote for me because otherwise you'll die. The last time I checked, the WHA, the World Health Organization statistics show that the human death rate is holding at a steady 100% and has been ever since the beginning of humankind. And I don't suspect that's going to change and somehow that I'm going to, things are going to change and then I'm going to live, 900 years or so. That ain't happening. I'm a goner. I'm not a vampire. I don't bite people in the neck, live off of their blood, and live eternally. Seeking the night is one. Running through the night is one of the undead. So I ain't got to worry about that. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And as soon as we got David Kelly in there, as soon as David Kelly gets back here, we're going to get some calls. I think that we need to. If you are afraid of Trump, then you need to ask yourself something. What fear do you have? Look, if you don't like me, if you don't want Trump to be president, do whatever you believe you need to do. I'm not telling you what to do. If you want to vote for Jill Stein, if you want to vote for Ben Stein, Frankenstein, Beer Stein, I don't care. It's up to you. I tell people who to or who not to vote for. I'm simply saying, do whatever you want to do. I'm down with that. I'm good with that. I'm not trying to tell people what to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. But I do know this. Don't be afraid. What's going to happen is going to happen. Deal with it. We got some callers, don't we? My main man, David Kelly, is over there making things happen. And we got callers. We good? All right. You are on the air. Where are you calling from?
Hey, I'm calling from Norfolk, Virginia.
Oh, my gosh. What do you thought? Oh, what's your name?
I'm on a road trip to Baltimore.
All right. What are you thinking? Yeah, can you make sure you hold your mouth closed? You're a little low. But what are your thoughts on this?
Man, I just wanted to tell you that your explanation with the analogy of the baseball team with Hillary and her fans spot on, and it needs to be repeated into this upcoming election. People need to hear that. But my question is, now what do you say about, I know that you can tell a lot about a person by the company that they keep, and you've got all these big bank executives that'll sell out any progressive case in a heartbeat. But what do you say about Bernie Sanders and Obama getting behind Hillary?
I don't know about, first of all, I happen to strongly believe, because of a lot of things that I kind of have heard over the years, that the Obama people really don't like Hillary. Okay, there's no love lost between the Obama people and Hillary people for a number of reasons. But then apparently somewhere down the line, there were some promises made that Obama would help her and that he's kind of a man of his word and he's doing that. And the other thing is this, let's face it, I can understand a President Obama going out of office not wanting Trump to follow him. I can understand that. If I'm president and I see Trump, on my six, as they say in dogfighting, I'm probably a little concerned about that. Bernie, who knows? There's all kinds of things. Julian Assange is saying they threatened him. Who knows? Maybe his wife's tied up in a Brooklyn basement. I don't know. Whatever. The Clintons. We don't want to rule that one out. But whatever the case, and I think Bernie, too, sees Trump as a threat. I understand. I understand people who see Trump as a threat. I understand that. I don't know where I am on that. What are your thoughts on it? Where are you?
Well, I went out and I gave rides, at voting time in 2008, 2012 for Obama. He really excited me. I'm a public school teacher. I tackle the things that the progressives talk about every day, right? But so, man, when I saw Bernie get behind Hillary, I was like, okay. And I know that she's the anti-Trump, but then it's just something about her, like you say, it just rubs me the wrong way. I'm not alone, and I know it. How are we going to get people like me out to the polls? I mean, I'm going to vote. I know the implications of this election, but how do they get them out?
That's the issue. I don't think they do. Not in the numbers needed to get Hillary over. I mean, let's face it. You and I can't go out and grab people and drag them to the polls in big numbers. So the reality of it is I don't think they get people to the polls in the numbers that they need. I think that the Clinton people have insulted the progressives too much, and they haven't offered him any real policies that they can sink their teeth into. And I think they've lost him, and they're not coming back. And there's a price to be paid.
So what I find myself doing to frame my conversation to try to get people out to the polls is then recently you have Hillary getting behind clean energy. And that's something that progressives are for, and that's something that we're working towards. And then Trump comes out and says, teams up with the businessman from North Dakota, says he's going to take us back to all fossil fuel. And I mean, so what I find myself doing, and I of course I'm not comfortable with it, is clinging to those single issues and really trying to get people out, trying to find something that burns to get them out there. And it has nothing to do with, Hillary. It's the platform that's been moving without her.
Right. To be quite frank, the only real issue that concerns me a lot, because the fact of the matter is this: when Hillary says she's for this or that, I have so little trust with her that I don't know that I can really believe any policy that she says she's going to give. But let me tell you the issue that motivates me a lot, that makes me think. If I would vote for Hillary, if I were to decide to vote for Hillary, the only thing that would make me vote for Hillary would be the Supreme Court. I'm on the board of directors for the ACLU, and we've been able to do a lot at the ACLU, and it's been through the Supreme Court. We've won a lot of stuff through the Supreme Court. Some recently that, I really didn't think we would win, the affirmative action Texas case and various things. So, the case for gay marriage and stuff. Yeah. So that's the only thing that I think the problem is the Democratic Party and the Hillary campaign are not driving that home. I saw Hillary advertisement the other day. Hillary wasn't in it. There was nobody but Trump. Oh, Trump is bad. Trump. And I'm thinking to myself, would you ever see a Coca-Cola advertisement where it was nothing but Pepsi? Where they saw the Pepsi, too much sugar, tastes bad, and the logo's ugly. Pepsi, don't buy Pepsi. Brought to you by Coke. Yeah. So the Hillary, and I'm like, these people are lost. Well, thanks a lot. Appreciate you calling. Got plenty of other callers. All right. Next, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
James, Southeast.
James is Southeast. Fill me in, man. What's up, James? I need to hear the realness.
So basically, I was calling to say that black people in general will not vote. It can't get any worse than what it is for us right now. And the only way things are going to change is by not voting. Because my grandfather always said when the lower class white man realizes he's been fooled, that's when he gets aggressive. And the government is fooling everybody. And it can't. If you drive through Benning Road, 8th Street right now, the transition that's taking place and the trash that's on the ground, it looks like a trash bomb blew up. The mayor cares nothing about that side of the city. And again, it can't. I mean, the schools, it just can't get any worse than what it is right now.
Let me say this on that.
Oh, and I want to say one
sure,
more
go
thing.
ahead. Absolutely.
It was a lady. It was a lady that called in about a month ago, and she was a lawyer or something. I was listening, and she was saying, "Why vote? All these black men that are in jail and can't get the legal counseling needed. Why vote? Right now, we are not seen as citizens. This is not our country. This is not our country. If you are from La Plata, Maryland, and I take you to Southeast and hold you in bondage, are you from Southeast? No, you're from La Plata, Maryland.
Thank you very much. Certainly appreciate it. I understand how you're saying. Now, here's what I believe. I'm not going to say don't vote. I'm going to show up to the polls and I'm going to vote for a lot of people. What I'm going to do at the top of the ticket, I haven't decided yet. But I'm showing up and I'm voting. There's a bunch of people that I'm going to vote for. And I think that if you think about it this way, let's face it. If the people of Wall Street had their way, right, the Wall Street bankers had their way, nobody would vote but them. I mean, if they had their way, the only people that would vote would be the super rich. Look, remember how it started out in America? People say, oh, America, the founding fathers. Oh, what the founding fathers started off with a system that was hierarchical, and they were at the top. The only person that could vote was white male landowners, right? There's a reason that they didn't want anybody else to vote, because then nobody else had a say. So the concept that, well, black people shouldn't vote, well, there was a time when black people couldn't vote, and all they wanted to do was vote. And now you get to vote, and you're like, nah, I'll pass. I don't think that's a good move. I'm not telling people what to do. But, a lot of people died to vote. There was a reason. Here's the thing. If somebody doesn't want you to do something, there's a reason they don't want. The millionaires, they don't want you to vote. You go down south, what are they doing? They're doing all of these things. Well, not just down south, but a lot of places. They're doing all of these voter suppression things to stop black people and people of color and young people from voting, right? Well, if you don't vote, they don't really have to do them, because you're kind of doing it for them. So my perspective is, I think you should vote. I think you should show up. I think the more people that vote, the better off we are. The more working class, working poor, and poor people that vote, the better off we are. Do we only want the rich to vote? Because guess what? They're going to show up and vote. They're going to show. So just think, if none of the working class, working poor, and poor people vote, and only the rich vote, which is the way this country started, which is why they couldn't get rid of slavery, which is why there was, all the way up until like Lincoln, pretty much every president was a slave owner. They set it up, they set it up in America so that in the South, even though there were fewer white people in the South, they could count their slaves. So if you had 500 slaves, you basically had 300 people towards getting representation in Congress. It was called, I think, the federal ratio or something. In fact, they called Thomas Jefferson the Negro president. The reason he was called the Negro president was because the Southerners got more representation. They got more electoral votes. At one point, Pennsylvania had like five times the number of voters than like some of these southern states, and they had like 1/3 the number of members of Congress and their representation and electoral votes and all. Why? Because the people down south could count their voters. Could count the slaves, but they couldn't vote. That's what we're moving towards today. Let's not volunteer our way into that. Let's make them force it on you at least. Don't just volunteer your way into it. All right, we got more callers. Who do we got next? My main man David Kelly on the boards.
Kenny.
Oh, what's your name? Where you calling from? Oh, Kenny from up in Baltimore.
What's going on, buddy?
Man, I thought you'd be hanging out with my main man, Homeless Ike.
No, man. Oh, please. I'm trying to give you all the good information.
That's what I need, Kenny.
But you don't want to vote for Donald Trump, and you don't want to vote for Hillary. Everybody thinks they got choices. We don't have a choice, people. As Donald Trump says, you don't have a choice. You don't want Donald Trump, but you want Hillary Clinton. What are you going to do? It's not like we got a lot of choices, people. Go ahead and vote for Hillary, and we'll talk about it. There's one thing that we all got, and that's called impeachment.
You ready to impeach Hillary? She's not even in office yet.
No, I'm ready to impeach anybody that don't vote for her.
All right, thanks a lot, Kenny.
When are you coming to D.C.?
What's that? You mean when am I coming to Baltimore?
Yeah, when are you coming to Baltimore?
I got to come out there and hang. My main man Ray Kelly is right over there in Sandtown. I come down there and hang out with him all the time.
Well, that might be the only place you have to live. You keep bashing Hillary.
But I'm down. But I'm good with Sandtown. I love the people in Sandtown. You know, I was born in Baltimore. Born in Baltimore City. Thanks a lot, Kenneth. All right, who we got next? Uh-oh. Turn your radio. Whoever it is, you got to turn your radio down. Are you there?
Okay.
All right. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This window's on delay. Stop the DC.
Uh-oh, I'm not hearing you. Want to try again?
No, you can't hear me, Dad?
Not really.
Okay, well, I just want to say you have heard of broker convention, right?
Yeah.
And, okay, so the last few presidencies have been broker presidencies. I see nothing wrong with voting for Hillary for a chance to be at the table and broker the presidency. I don't see a chance of brokering anything with Donald Trump. So.
Yeah, good point. So that's a broker presidency. That's when nobody gets 270 electoral votes, right? Is that what that is?
That means that once that person, if I'm looking at it from once they get in office, you do whatever you have to do to get them in office, and they owe you. And if they don't come through, they don't pay up, then you make it difficult.
Thank you very much. Certainly appreciate that. All right, David Kelly, who we got next? We got somebody else. Okay, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Renee, and I'm from Miami.
Miami. What's that name again?
Renee.
Oh, okay. So talk to me. What's happening in Miami? What do we need to know? What do I need to know? You're from Miami, so I know you've got the good information.
Okay. So, recently Trump was in Miami, and many protesters were here blocking his motorcade. I hear he's coming back Tuesday as well, and we're planning some to let him know that.
Uh-oh, we're losing you in Miami. Is your mouth close to the phone? Darn, I think we lost our Miami connection. Oh well, thanks a lot. I appreciate you calling. If you're going to call us, get to a place where you've got a really good signal and call us back. I think you didn't have a very good signal, and I really want to talk to you. Let's thank you for calling from Miami. Wish I was there now. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Lisa from Rockville.
Lisa, fill me in, Lisa. What do you think? Am I wrong? Is Alan Lichtman out there?
You're so on point, and I'm sick of arguing with Hillary supporters on Facebook, and I get everything from it's my fault if Donald Trump wins to I get threatened. I get I get everything from sympathy to calling me stupid and everything else, and it just turns me off even more.
Yeah, that's the way to. I've always thought that's the way to build a coalition. That's the way to bring people over. Call them an idiot. You idiot! You got to join me.
Yeah, it's your. Don't you see Bernie? This is what Bernie did. But I thought you were so behind Bernie. Now you're not. Why aren't you supporting Hillary? It almost makes me vomit. I can't. I don't know what I'm going to do. I vote for local election, state, for all of that, but I don't know what I'm going to do at the top of the ticket. I don't want Trump, but I don't want Hillary. And this has been a long time since I've been in this position, and it's not a good feeling.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think you and I we have a oneness going on where this is the same way. There's so many factors. Everything from just she's Hillary, of course, we can't overlook that. To everything that happened with Bernie, with the DNC, with the stuff we found out in the WikiLeaks. If there's anybody that I care for less than Hillary, it's Debbie Wasserman Schultz. If there's somebody in the Democratic Party that I think less of than Hillary, it's definitely Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Absolutely. Then the other caveat that turns me off is a Hillary presidency will mean Bill Clinton's back in office.
Well, let me add this too. And there's some things we need to think of. And I'm not a proponent of Trump. I believe a couple of things that we can take into account. And I'm not. People are going to be like, "Oh, you want Trump?" No, it is what it is. If he wins, he loses. Whatever. Whoever wins will be so unpopular, their party's going to take a beating in the midterms. If Hillary wins, the Democrats are going to get creamed in the midterms. If the Republicans win, the Republicans are going to get creamed in the midterms. Because traditionally, the party that wins always loses in the midterms anyway. But you're going to have a president so unpopular that whoever wins is going to get beaten up in the midterms. And ultimately, guess what else happens? In 2020, they redraw the district lines again.
Absolutely.
And if you lose you want to win state and governors, you want to win state legislatures. There's a lot of factors going on here. Don't get me wrong. the Supreme Court is huge, and we can't overlook that. But there's a lot of important factors here that, first of all, we can't control what happens ultimately anyway, can we?
No, and the other thing is that either whoever wins, and I'll let you go after this, whoever wins, it's going to be the same fall as it was before. People are so, they're either enraged and they don't want Trump, and if he wins, he's going to be blocked in anything he tries to do.
Yep.
And the same with Hillary. So here we will be another 4 years with the same struggles that Obama had.
And thank you very much. Here's the other thing that I would be infuriated at the Democrats if they don't do. So the Democratic president had the opportunity to appoint a Supreme Court justice. Now, this guy won twice. And the Republicans say, oh, we need the people to choose. Well, they chose twice. Why can't Obama? It's like, well, let the people choose. He won twice. What are you saying? He has to win 3 times before he can select a Supreme Court justice? Guess what? You can't win but once. They changed that after FDR, right? So the Republicans said, here's basically what the Republicans said. We will not allow the Democrats to choose the next Supreme Court justice. Now, here's what I say the Democrats have to do. If a Republican gets in, you can't let him do it. If a Republican wins, you filibuster, you do whatever. You say to them, okay, here's the bottom line. Especially if they win, if the Democrats win, take the Senate, which is possible. But whatever the case, they say to the Republicans, okay, during this lame duck session after November, if you do not let the Democratic president choose the Supreme Court justice, if you don't bring this to a vote and you don't let him do that, then for the next 4 years, we're going to guarantee you that the Republican will not, I don't care if there's 4 openings, we're not going to allow you to say, you simply, look, here's the bottom line, the Democrats can't choose it. We're the only ones that'll choose it. When we're not in charge, we're in charge. When we are in charge, we're in charge. If the president, if the president is a Democrat, we decide who goes in the Supreme Court. If the president's a Republican, we decide who goes in the Supreme Court. The Democrats can't allow that to happen. So they have to say, dudes, either you allow the Democrat to choose it now, or for the next 4 years, it's closed. If they die off and we get down to none, so be it. If they all, go down in a fiery bus crash, then I guess we just won't have one. Then I get, because what happens then? It's just like when there's a tie. If there's a tie, the lower court ruling stands. And guess what? Of the, I think, 12 or 13 district federal circuit courts, like 9 of them are more liberal. Here's the bottom line. If it's a tie like it is now, like 9 out of 12 or 9 out of 13 times, we win anyway. So the bottom line is, if there's a tie there, the Democrats win. I mean, the more liberal, there are more left-leaning, more liberal, minimum centrist Supreme Court circuits. So okay, so be it. We're ahead. But I think that's important. All right, we got more calls. Let me see David in it. Okay, well, there are a lot of things. Okay, my main man, David. All right, we got callers. 202-588-0893. We got time for a couple open lines. 202-588-0893. What is your name and where are you calling from?
My brother.
Oh, it's Tesfa. Tesfa, are you calling from Ethiopia?
Yes.
I thought you would be there. Look, I thought you would be there hassling the dictator.
Look, the dictators are killing and ethnic cleansing and
but we got to get back to Hillary.
Genocide.
I mean, we
right now, currently, right now.
Yeah, but we got to get back to Hillary. All right.
Okay,
all right.
I will come to your point.
Okay.
Look, hundreds of thousands of people are dying to vote, just to vote, and also the consequences of not voting are going to be with us for decades because of the Supreme Court, because of the whole justice system. And also, there is an example. The French people say, we will hold our noses and vote. Let's hold our noses and vote so that we won't throw up. But, look, we cannot mess with Donald Trump because what he's preaching, what he's doing, what he's saying is fascism. We cannot take a chance with fascism like the Ethiopian dictators. They will ethnically cleanse you. They will wipe you out. I'm telling you.
All right. Thank you
That's
very
what's
much.
happening
Thank you
in
very
New
much,
York.
Tesfa. Certainly appreciate him calling. Tesfa is our main man, Tesfa. Okay, who we got next? What is your name, and where are you calling from? And am I hearing a echo in the background?
Yeah, my name is William.
Uh huh.
My name is William. Can you hear me?
Yeah, where you calling from, William?
I'm calling from Charm City, Baltimore.
All right. Fill me in.
Basically, I study in parallel Native American history with African American history because they both kind of coincide with each other. And I just see it as America is pretty much a system that, I mean, they say it's for the people, but it's not really for the people. Example, I've always voted for over the years with different presidents, but they still take money out of my tax to fund wars. So where is it that where does it say that the people have power? Why is the White House called the White House when it should be called the People's House? When does the people have a say so? Really, Democrats, Republicans, Supreme Court, whatever this system is that they've created, when does the people ever have a say so in actually the system? Like, why can I not sit in on a meeting that they have with a closed door and really see what's like? You know, Obama said no pipelines will be going through America. But the Sioux Indians up in North Dakota fighting for the black snake, the pipeline not to come through their land. They already dug up the people's burial sites. So where's the real freedom in America? I mean, it seems to be a failed system to me.
Thank you very much. Certainly appreciate it. Yeah,
Right,
there's an argument. I could do a whole show on that. But to me, the whole issue of America, to some extent, you could argue that a lot of the things, the home of the free and the brave and all that kind of stuff, a lot of that was rhetoric. Traditionally, America has never been, free and brave and equal for everyone. There's always been, the people of color, people, Native Americans, people who had various sexual orientation, who they considered to have an alternate sexual orientation, or trans people, or women. Yeah, women. All of these groups have never been treated with fairly and equally the same as the waspy white male. That's just a fact. That's what America has always been, and there's always been a struggle to have a universal rights as opposed to the hierarchical rights that we've always had in America. That's the reality of it. We say freedom and all that. You notice after what's happened the last couple of weeks, you don't hear a whole lot of people condemning Colin Kaepernick anymore. I think his point is made by reality, and it's not new. At any rate, we got some more people. We got more callers? All right. What is your name and where you're calling from?
Hello, Ted, calling from Silver Spring.
What's happening, Ted?
How are you?
I'm fantastic. Fill me in.
Good. Well, first of all, I'm going to tell you I am white, Republican, socially libertarian, business conservative, and I am a fan of your show. I agree with not everything, but I agree with a lot of what you're saying.
Oh, wonderful.
You've got a diverse audience.
Why, thank you. I certainly appreciate it. Well, bottom line is I find a lot of times that, I'm a big civil libertarian. I'm on the ACLU, and I find I do cross paths with libertarians a lot because I'm really big into, the issue of government transparency and of, over government intrusion. Now, let me be honest with you. When it comes to the issue with libertarians who tend to want individual rights to be supreme over group rights, I tend to want a healthier balance where group rights and individual rights are a little closer together. And sometimes we get a little hairy around there, but I love you anyway, and I certainly appreciate you listening.
I believe the balance is where you are. I just feel people, you leave me alone, I leave you alone. I don't care what you do, and the other way around.
Yeah.
As about a Trump presidency, I think there's two things that I heard that if he wins, I would look forward to. One is, no matter about the social policies, to leave that aside for a minute, I think the business tax policies are good and will produce growth. I also think the other thing, he said he's going to allow the government workers to look into their own departments and get rid of useless regulation. I know a lot of folks who work for the government who would be big fans of that. In private industry, we're allowed to get rid of things that don't work, or they just die out naturally. Something doesn't sell, it's gone. Some waste money is gone.
I think the government people should have that privilege too.
Well, and let me just say this about, private industry and things that aren't good dying out naturally. I'm not much on that. I think that a lot of people believe that, but I think history says most of the time private industry gets more and more powerful, and they can be actually suicidal, believe it or not. And to me, sometimes private industry has to be protected from itself by government regulation. I mean, let's not forget Love Canal. Let's not forget rivers being on fire. And it was cheaper for private industry to dump methyl ethyl horrible into the river than it was to get rid of, to legally dispose of it. And private industry, I think, does have to be regulated, or they want money only, and they'll do things that are bad for everyone out here. So I understand where you're coming from, but
a balance of regulation, of course, and you are correct there. I meant more product. That if something's wasting money, if we're in the business where I work and something's not working or wasting money, it stops getting done. And that's a decision we all make, and I would like to give my friends and family who work for the government that same right, that if they think something's not working, they should be able to speak up without repercussions and say, this isn't working, let's stop doing it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your call. We got one more call. We'll take back. You got 1 minute here. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hey, how you doing? James, Brandywine, Maryland.
James, you got 1 minute. Fill me in, James.
Hey, this whole thing with Trump kind of smacks of the Mussolini and Hitler type thing. The economy's all messed up. You got this racial thing going on. And, you get a guy like that in there, he declares himself king and, just kind of does whatever he wants to do with the backing of people that are not really educated.
Mm-hmm. Well, the good thing is that in America we do have some checks and balances that you get in. Let's face it. I mean, with the Congress we got now, they can't even do the stuff they're supposed to do. Much less some oppressive. They can't even do like the transportation bill. Basic things they can't get it done. So I fear, if anything, I mean, I don't fear much. I mean, if Trump has like some really horrible things to do, he'll never get them through Congress. But let's hope he doesn't. Let's hope we don't have to deal with the Trump presidency. Maybe there will be divine intervention and Trump will, be turned into a pillar of stone or something. Maybe. I mean, not wishing bad on the man. I mean, but a pillar of stone wouldn't be all that bad. It could be worse. But thanks a lot. Appreciate calling. Look, time for me to go. My main man David Kelly has done a fantastic job of keeping the show going. Next, I'm looking over and I see the lovely Miss Robin. She is all ready to get her show going and play, the best music you could ever imagine. So if you're listening online, whatever the case, do not change anything. I'll be listening on the way home. There's some fantastic music coming up on Robin's Place. I am out next week, 6 p.m. Peace.